Okay, and we are live. Jon Fitch, looking fresh, man. You look even better on Skype.
What's going on, man? I haven't even gotten cleaned up since the fight. Yeah.
It doesn't even look like you're in a fight.
I don't really feel like I don't know, man. I feel like I dominated the fight. I feel like I won that fight. I don't think. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, might as well dive right into it. So you think you definitely won that fight, obviously to draw.
I 100% felt like I won that fight. I watched it again the other night with Chris Tinkle of my podcast, Fitch and Tinkle Smash Everything. We did a watch along with it.
Right.
Um, and watching it the second time through, I believe I won every round. You could
Yeah.
argue that the fourth round was a draw,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, it's kind of a pain. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really irritating. But I was told, be ready because we don't know if Rory is going to make 100%. We don't know if he's going to make the next fight. So
Right.
I've been doing cardio, do some grappling this week.
Right. That was two things. One is, what did you think of his post-fight interview? Because it seemed like everybody was talking about what he said afterwards, and I was like, I'm more focused on the result. I mean, we have a draw at a main event. Why are we so worried about the post-fight interview? Did that mean anything to you when he said that? Does it raise any question marks? Like, hey, maybe is he reconsidering even fighting, or did you not really even care about that?
Um, I mean, maybe he's reconsidering not fighting the next fight. I don't know,
Right.
but I mean, regardless, just whatever. I think you go into a fight expecting to smash somebody probably, and then you get smashed. I think it might make you question a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think that maybe has more to do with what's going on than anything else.
Right. Yeah, it was a tough fight, and what's so crazy to me, and my pops is like a diehard MMA fan, and he's like, "Man, I've been watching Jon Fitch since the beginning," and I'm like, "Yeah, he's incredible." And he's like, "Is he still like he's still competing with the best in the world and doing really well?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like it's really impressive to see. That was like I was going to talk to you about is you've seen so many different generations when it comes to
Hmm.
fighting, like so many different waves, the George St. Pierre wave, and then Roy McDonald was like his prodigy type of wave, and it's like
Hmm.
you have not only excelled in all these waves, but like you just adapt and evolve with the game. What has it been like watching all these different generations, and how much better can it really get?
I mean, I think I'm a strategist, and I use technique and systems to accomplish what I want to accomplish.
Right.
A lot of other guys sometimes just fight to trade punches, and then you're letting biology decide who's got a stronger chin or not.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I think that leaves me in the play because I'm a strategist. I'm looking to solve problems. I'm not just looking for my physical abilities to defeat you, and thinking my way through problems is what keeps me competitive, and it's what has kept me competitive throughout my career. And then just the ability to work as hard as I'm able to work, and
Right.
that just mental status of just driving forward, pushing forward, no matter how uncomfortable I feel.
Right. And you had a lot of success with the wrestling in that fight too. Did that
Hmm.
surprise you at all with that fight that you were able to take him down when you really wanted to?
No, I mean that's what I do. I haven't had too many people who have given me a lot of problems with the takedowns. If I can get close to your hips, there's a good chance I can put you on your back. And and I think a lot of people still don't know what I'm doing or how I'm doing it. And a lot of the takedowns, they're not. I don't do them. I don't work hard to get them. I put
Right.
myself in a position to where the takedown becomes easy because I'm not. I wasn't even an All American wrestler, but I use MMA, I use striking and stuff to set up the takedowns, so
Right.
it makes it easier for me.
Yeah, you could tell you're just your skill level, your it's position before submission, as they say. It's not about your athleticism or your strength. It's about your skill and your wisdom. And it really showed. So if you got a call right now saying, hey, we do want to book a rematch in the future or near future, you would 100% take it.
Maybe
Yeah.
we'll see because I'm still on the fence. Like before I fought Jake Shields years ago,
Hmm.
I had some weird MRI stuff, and I was having trouble with my neck for years and years. So I was like, if I lose this fight, that's enough. My body's taking a lot.
Yeah.
Um, from what I put into the sport. I'm not getting as much love out of it. So I was like, oh, I'll walk away if I lose. I'm not competing at the highest level. I don't want to do it anymore. So I
Right.
won the fight. So I continue on to fight the next fight and fight the next fight and fight the next fight. So I haven't lost yet. I still haven't lost. So even with the Rory fight, it's a draw.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a clear cut what I'm doing. And the tournament is appealing because of
Yeah.
just everything around it. Just the idea of winning the tournament, the Bellator champ, and then the $1 million bonus. On top of that is that's great. So that's really appealing. So if I get a chance to step in back in the tournament, I think that's a for sure go. Yeah, but I don't know if I am gonna want to wait around and fight the winner of the tournament,
Yeah.
or I don't know. I don't know yet. I can't say no, but yeah, we'll see how I feel. I'm gonna continue working out. Um, I'll probably pick up some stuff, training some other guys. I'll be doing some jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I'll be ready for this fight in June. I'm just going to get ready because they asked me to. So, it's not like I'm just going to sit around and do nothing, but I'll be putting some focus and time into some other projects, I think.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to talk to you about. Is one thing I really like about your game and just yourself is how your cerebral approach. Like, you're so thoughtful. You just talked about your style of fighting, the way you view things. Like you said, I'm not going to fight unless I'm competing against the best and I'm doing the best. And you really have a great thought process. And you think about post-fight career. And you have a lot of investments. You have your book that we'll get into. You have your podcast now. You have the Fitch Smash. So you have all these different things. And one thing I've noticed is this younger generation, I think, is starting to realize that. They're starting to see, hey, you should invest and think about what happens post-fight career. When did you realize, hey, I should actually start thinking about what's next? And how is it important? How important is it for young fighters to realize that?
Not soon enough. Like I've only been really focusing on the last couple of years. I was distracted by other personal issues and just the blind youth of thinking, I'm just going to make it in fighting. I'll make enough money in fighting before I
Right.
really understood that. Before I stood the industry, before I understood the limitations placed on us because of the way the industry's set up. Um, the money's not quite what I thought it was going to be before. So, um, I've had to accept that you've got to have you got to have multiple revenue streams. You got to have more than
Right.
just the fight income. You got to figure out a lot of other things, and the sponsors are a lot harder these days. The
Hmm.
market's a little saturated with fighters, and then just the way sponsorship stuff works nowadays. Most people are doing affiliate sales type stuff, and it's not straight up sponsorships where we're going to give you like $3,000 to push our product. It's just
Right.
we'll give you a link code, and you've got to sell the product to get a
Yeah.
percentage, and that's how most of the stuff is going on. So like you're going to have to figure out ways to hustle, and then all of marketing looks like it's going social media. So
Big-
you're going to have to become pretty savvy with social media and marketing on social media, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's anybody who's a business owner these days. So like if you're a fighter, you're a small business owner. So like that's one of the things I think I'm learning now in my older age is that I should have studied business
Hmm.
earlier in my career. And now I'm trying to learn and catch up.
That's interesting. I feel like your personality reflects your fighting style in a way. So we
Mm-hmm.
have your book here. You gave me, I'm very thankful for it, by the way, for giving me this. You signed
Awesome.
it, Keep Up the Hustle, Failing Upward, Death by Ego. Let me hold it up right here in case you guys have not seen it. Hold on.
Available on Amazon.
There we go. And one of the things that I really enjoyed, and I was curious, for one, you have a log of like your wrestling log. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, for one, I'm really into documentaries. I'm really into like the process before people reach the fame in a way, like the
Yep.
Conor movie. So I'm like, oh, for one, that's genius. How did you think of like when you wrote your book, did you know immediately, hey, these wrestling logs are golden for my book? And then it transferred so well.
It started off as I started reading through the old journals, and because I was gonna write like an autobiography type of thing, so I was
Yeah.
gonna read the stuff, write a collection, and then write about it. But then I was just like, man, I couldn't figure out a way to address or to get across in the pages like how insane some of it kind of is, like the obsessiveness, like the amount of workouts, the type of workouts, getting mad at myself for not eating right, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can really capture it without sharing all the entries. So I just let people see what I was writing, how I was doing it, to see kind of why it was effective. I think because it starts off with the wrestling journals too, is mostly primarily just like what my weight was and what my workouts
Yeah.
were and how they went,
Yeah.
and then I started to expand it on personal stuff later.
Yeah, that I was like, because it's one thing to tell a story, right? But when you actually see your thought process while you're actually doing it, it's something different. You're like, yeah, didn't have a good workout today. I'll get it better next day. And then you're like, yeah, my weight's at this point. I need to get it to this point. And then I'm like, wow, like you really get to see what it was like day by day through your whole journey. And everyone always says how the wrestling mentality is the toughest mentality to have. So you could see
Mm-hmm.
how hard you were on yourself and how much you wanted to improve. And I think that's why this book is so incredible. And did you know how big of a hit it would be by doing that?
I don't know. I mean, I still got to do a lot more marketing, and I still got to finish the
Yeah.
series, But so far, everybody's enjoying it. Everybody's liking it, and I think as I write more, I'll probably get better at writing and expanding on some of those ideas. But it was a fun process, and I'm glad I have it out there.
Yeah, that's
It's
so
kind of
cool.
a time
Multi-
capsule of that early AKA days.
yeah, yeah, I really love it and I really enjoyed it. And so you obviously anyone would have challenges doing anything your first time, no matter what it is. So now you think going into your second book, maybe your third book is just going to get easier and easier?
I think it'll be a little bit easier. It's still difficult to make yourself sit down and just write. Like
Right.
I have to come up with some strategies and tricks just to like make myself sit.
Right.
that's that's the problem. I come up with excuses. Yeah, I gotta clean this. I gotta do laundry. I gotta fold laundry. Like the house apartment ends up getting spotless and clean, and I polish the windows and all that.
Right.
Just as I'm trying to come up with stuff to do, not to sit and write. But yeah.
Go see Avengers. Have you seen Avengers?
I did see Avengers with the Sons. We watched Detective Pikachu yesterday, actually.
I heard it was good. Ryan Reynolds is
It
on a
was
roll.
pretty good. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
I haven't seen that one. You watching Game of Thrones tonight?
I've never watched or gotten into Game of Thrones.
Really?
Yeah, just I don't have. I mean, I don't have TV, so I don't have HBO. And
Right.
then somebody introduced us to it a long, long time ago because when it first started popular, and
Hmm.
we watched like an episode and a half, and it was just meh.
John, I'm telling
Wasn't
you right
into it.
now. Like you're a very busy guy. You have multiple. You're going to write multiple books. You have a book. You're a professional fighter, family. You have a lot of important things, but I think Game of Thrones may be the most important right now because I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you, if you go and binge it, give it more than one season. One season, you'll watch it and you're like, okay, that was good. Second season, like, okay, it's getting better. By like season 3, 4, 5, you're like, okay, I can't turn it off. And now that everything's over with, you'll be able to watch them from start to finish. So that's my recommendation for you.
Okay,
Um,
let's see.
all right. So what I've realized now is now that UFC's on ESPN, more people are watching Bellator. You have the PFL now that just got that ESPN deal. You have
Hmm.
more of like the general public watching it than ever before. So these new fans that are coming in, they see it as what it is now, not what it was. So they don't know the whole build up, the whole process.
Yep.
And one thing I've realized by talking to people, you go to hooligans and you hear people rooting for them. I think there's this perspective that it's just a solo sport because you only see one person in the octagon, one person in the
Hmm.
ring. How important? Because I could make the argument. I covered the Orlando Magic. I've watched a lot of NFL. And I'm like, I could still make the case to this day that MMA is the most team sport there is. Like, how essential is it to have such a well-oiled training camp, a well-oiled machine where you
Yeah.
have all these guys helping you to
It
contribute?
is. You do need good training partners. You need a team of people around you. You're not just gonna be able to do it alone. You're not gonna get the jiu-jitsu skills or wrestling skills that you need hitting a bag, doing cardio, hitting mitts. Um, you need people to spar against. You need different level people to work against. So you need people that you can beat up, people that beat you up in different positions, different areas. So yeah, team aspect is huge, and that's one of the reasons why you don't see a lot of teammates fight each other because it just disrupts the gym, the
Right.
tranquility of the gym and how it works. It's just not necessary.
Yeah.
If something comes up and there's a title, then maybe, but there's no real reason. There's so many fighters out there, so many fights possible.
Yeah. Now I saw something. I don't know what website it was, and they said I should have read on it. I don't want to speak too much on something I don't know fully, so I want to get your opinion on it. I saw like you had a comment towards PFL, and I guess that went viral or went crazy. Is there a certain take that you had about PFL? I thought it said something about the million or.
It was something about the I hadn't because no one had heard how the payments were going to work out or what was going on around the money. It was just rumors of the money, whatever. Like I had heard rumors that it was not a lump sum payment, that it was something like you'd get, $50,000 a year until they paid you the million.
Right.
But if it's a company that goes out of business before you get paid your million, you're not going to get all of your money.
Right.
So I had heard that was the case, but I was corrected by some guys who had made some posts. But my thing was not even attack the PFL, but it was journalists. Like nobody asked, like how is the payment going to work out? Like that wasn't a question that come up. I don't know.
Right.
I have, and it's not just mainstream news media outlets that have some real journalistic issues. I think all journalists these days sometimes forget to ask real questions.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like,
and that's what the main thing. I think the PFL really took off because they have the tournament style, which I really like, and then they have like the regular season with the points. Are you a fan of that as a fighter? Because I think that's maybe one of the things.
I think prize fighting should be, sanctioning bodies controlling the title, and then the promoters cross promote, and there's multiple titles, and you build a hierarchy based on what fighter fights, what titles, whatever. But I think that's ideal. That's going to drive the highest market, highest pay for everybody. But under the system we're locked in, it's good to have some level of meritocracy, especially for the younger guys, because the tournament, it allows exposure to fans multiple times. You see that same guy fighting a number of times, climbing a ladder, and people do identify with that. They like seeing that. They like seeing somebody rise up to the top. So that is going to draw some eyeballs.
Now, what do you think the ceiling is for PFL? Like, if you had to estimate now at this point in time, is it, they'll be like around there with the Bellator and then second maybe to the UFC, or do you see them like skyrocketing?
Well, no, nobody's going to skyrocket because the UFC has a monopoly. Like, it's not a competition. Like, nobody's competing against the UFC. It's not even close.
Is that healthy?
No, it's not. It's not healthy at all because the UFC isn't paying market value. They're not paying market value. They're picking a price that they want to pay, and they're paying that. And all they have to do is pick a little bit above all the other competitors, and they get all the top talent. They get the top 10% of guys in each weight class. They've got the top belt. So everybody, once they get big enough, they want to jump ship and go to the UFC. Mm-hmm. But so there's no competition. Nobody's competing against UFC. Everybody else is kind of number two, and they just kind of have to operate at that level and be happy with being number two.
Yeah, and I think you need competition though, right? That's healthy. You need to have like when Pride was at its peak, that was good for MMA. You see multiple talent everywhere.
We have Pride, Strikeforce, WEC.
Yeah.
K1 started doing their show. Like there was a lot of shows. There were more shows back 2008, 2009 than there are today.
Yeah, for sure. So we talked about AKA. I don't know if you've heard of him, Habib. He has a fight against Dustin Poirier. I think that's going to be set up. And man, what a fight between him and Max Holloway, by the way. But how do you see that fight going? Because once he beat Max Holloway, I feel like everyone went on the Dustin Poirier bandwagon, and I love Dustin. He's a great guy, but I just think it's
people want to write off wrestling every time. They just don't believe. I don't know. They watch too many movies. They watch too much Bruce Lee. They don't understand that somebody who knows how to get inside, put his hands on you, and put you to the ground is on another level. Like, it doesn't matter how great this guy's stand-up is, how tough he is, how much he does all this other stuff. Like, if he's incapable of keeping Khabib away from his hips and keeping him from taking him down, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you have the classic wrestler versus striker, I would say the wrestler pretty much wins most of the time, right?
Yes.
I mean, look at yourself. You're a wrestler, and you look at Habib. You guys have just some great wrestlers out of AKA. Deron
Mm-hmm.
Wynn, Habib, Daniel Cormier. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's a terrible matchup for
Yeah, Ed Ruth's been popping in too. He's been training with us a lot.
really.
Mm.
I'm gonna have to come out there. I want to see you guys because like I'm looking at it and like on paper you can make some arguments, but I just don't see anyone giving Habib a challenge right now.
Right now, yeah, not right now, because he hasn't fallen in love with stand up. He hasn't taken much damage, so he's not chinny.
Mm-hmm.
So like the chances of a one punch knockdown to put him in a bad spot or a one punch knockout, it's fairly hard, I think, for to imagine something like that happening. And I just don't see Poirier stopping the takedown or anybody else stopping the takedown. And I don't see anybody getting up every time over and over and over again until Khabib gets tired of taking them down and then beating him because Khabib's exhausted. I don't see that happening. And I
No.
don't really see anybody submitting him. I don't see a submission coming from bottom from anybody. He's positionally too good and he's strong. The only thing that could happen is somebody elbows him from their back on the bottom. That's the one way I see that Khabib could lose because sometimes he hangs his head low. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
could do the pointed elbow, cut
Yeah.
something on the brow. I see that's like the only way I see somebody possibly beating Khabib.
Okay, a couple things here because let me just add on that. For one, Dustin Poirier deserves so much credit after. Like, it's almost like he is Dustin Poirier 2.0, the way he was able to build back up and reach this
Mm-hmm.
point, become a champion. And I love Dustin, but I just don't think it's a great matchup for him. The one guy that I thought would present a lot of issues for Habib was Tony Ferguson. His mentality doesn't stop coming forward, doesn't mind being on his back. But Dana White said he's never going to book that again because of how many times that fight never happened. Do you see that fight ever happening? And is that the one guy that you bet your money maybe he has the best shot?
I don't know. I don't know if he doesn't necessarily has the best shot. Yeah, I don't know.
Because that Connor rematch, we don't know. That may not ever happen again.
Probably not. Connor's still being investigated, I think, for sexual
Stuff.
assault or something. Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
And whether whether or not any of that's true, we don't know. But it doesn't look like they're matching him up any fights. I wonder why. But also, I think, man, with the new ESPN deal, there's no reason for them to give Connor what he wants and give him a fight because they're already guaranteed more money
Right.
than he's going to draw in anyways. So like
That's good.
they don't need any more names. Like they've made their organization not need names. That's why the Brock Lesnar fight fell through, and he's not fighting Cormier, so they don't need to pay him anymore because they're already making their money.
Right.
They don't need to bring in those guys to bring in the pay-per-view eyeballs.
And the one thing that the UFC and just MMA in general does a really good job at, there's always a next guy. There's always a next guy. I mean, no one
Mm-hmm.
thought there'd be a next Chuck Liddell. No one thought there'd be a next Anderson Silva,
Mm-hmm.
George St. Pierre, Conor McGregor. It just Ronda Rousey. It happened.
Marketing, propaganda. I
Yeah.
mean, marketing works. It's why companies spend billions of dollars on it every year.
Yeah. I'm going to have to call you up sometime. Not even just about sports, just about marketing right now.
I'm still
So,
trying to figure out how to do it. I'm learning about it. I don't know how to do it yet. Otherwise,
no, you're killing it. I love your Instagram. Just checking you out, and you got a whole bunch of good posts. Okay, so you don't have to go too far in depth here because I don't know how much you're allowed to say. There's spotlight guys, and then there's gym guys. There's the guys in the gym that seem like they can't be beaten, but when the spotlight hits them, they're just different. And then it's vice versa.
mm-hmm.
I've heard stories where they get whooped in practice, and then they can't lose in the
Yep.
octagon.
Yep.
So that's a real thing. I heard a rumor. I think Brandon Schaub said it one time that Habib like doesn't even lose in practice. And I don't want you to put him on blast. I know you know him. It's just
I mean, lose. It's practice is practice. What do you mean by lose in practice?
that's a
How
good
does
point.
somebody lose in practice? You
You're
know,
talking
I mean,
about right?
it's practice.
Yeah.
Like we have guys and we have good goes. Guys get after it, and yeah, he does really well. So I don't know how you you don't really lose at practice.
I'm about to say that was one of the things I was going to touch on too. Is you're not trying to beat your other guy where you win. You're trying to help each other improve.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so like yeah, he doesn't get like taken down easily. He's not going to get submitted by anybody easily. He's
Right.
not, you know. I mean, so
Yeah.
yeah.
He's a freak of nature. All right. Let's take an AKA big fight announced. Obviously, the Brock, like you said, that fight went out. So now you have Stipe 2 versus Daniel Cormier, which it seemed like everybody really wanted. That's the fight that should have happened. Do you see that going the same way it went the first time, or do you see it maybe going in differently?
Yeah, like so, DC did some good inside work and caught him with that, underhook to the underhook to the hook, caught him on the chin. So he's just some really nice hand fighting inside to set that up. So it's hard to say if he's going to be able to repeat that, or if Stipe is going to try to keep away and not clinch and stay away from that kind of stuff. So I think we'll see a different type of fight this time, but I still think Cormier can win for sure. He can get inside, he can get to the hips, he can get the takedown.
I agree, and I think it's kind of weird, and a lot of people get caught up in the GOAT conversation, who's the greatest of all time, and I'm trying not to be a prisoner of the moment. But honestly, for this fight, you could make the argument if DC wins, like he's undefeated at heavyweight, beats Stipe, who's the most title defense in UFC history, he can make the argument for being the greatest heavyweight of all time. And if Stipe wins, not only does he have the most title defenses in UFC history, he just beat DC, who no one really beats at heavyweight. So I think this fight is a legacy fight for both of them, and it's something DC deserves, We'll see.
Yeah, it should be a good fight. Hopefully it's a good payday for him. But yeah, I heard rumors that the guys are still going to get pay-per-view points.
Really?
Even though there's guarantees with the ESPN deal. But I don't know if that's true. I think that was some chatter. I think Ali Abdelaziz had tweeted something out like that.
Right.
But I heard that. It's just classify that in the rumor bin. That's what I had heard.
So John,
I was really interested about that too, because once they have guaranteed, it's like guaranteed 500,000 views for the pay-per-view. I was wondering how they're going to work that out with the points.
That's true, and I think they're going to try to take care of Daniel Cormier the best they can. He's a company guy, been loyal to the UFC, and he's on his way out here. Might as well throw him a bone. I wanted him to have the fight with Brock.
Air quote, the best they can. Quote, the best they can.
I wanted him to whoop Brock. I really did. I know a lot of people are Brock guys. I'm not a Brock guy.
I was hoping, he would have had a really great, viewage, get some real pay-per-view money from that. That would have been good, real payday.
Yeah. John, okay, so this is your marketing time. Let's see what we've been waiting for, the main event here. Let's see how good you can market it. If there's someone listening right now, when they download this podcast, check it out on YouTube, and they say, you know what, I like that Jon Fitch guy. I'm a new MMA fan. He's really smart. Where can you get your book? Why should they buy your book?
Amazon. It's available exclusively on Amazon right now, Kindle and paperback.
Okay.
My book is about the early days of MMA and my journey to California and AKA. I share a lot of I share all of my journal entries just so people can kind of see what my mindset was going through, what I was going through this time, the Wild West, basically, of MMA. Like I fought 14 times without signing a contract ever, I think.
God.
So like it just shows you like where we came from, how things changed a little bit. So it's kind of interesting. It should be a quick read. I didn't turn it to a super long novel or nothing. I'm pretty simple with how I write. You'll enjoy it. If you're a fan of MMA, you'll enjoy it, and then you might learn something because I've experienced a lot of stuff in my life, and I'm writing reflections on those early journals, and kind of giving some perspective after some time has passed. Right. Because there's some instances where I had some bad attitudes for sure. Things probably would have went a lot better if I would have had a better attitude about it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, people can check out my website, jonfitch.net. I do my shake breaks live stream on my YouTube channel, Official Jon Fitch, pretty much every weekday at 9:30 a.m. Answer a lot of questions on that. I have different topics I talk about. I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Jon Fitch, that I do technique videos on for one of my tiers, and then the other tier is just to support the podcast and the blogs that I put on my website. But then I got Fitch and Tinkle Smash Everything, the podcast. I think that's about it.
I think you passed. I think that's an A+. You passed. You're moving on up. You can be on Shark Tank soon.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you, John. Like I said, thank you for giving me your time. I know you're a busy dude. You got so much. So keep working, keep training. I can't wait to watch you compete again. But most importantly, watch Game of Thrones.
All right. Thanks, Max.
I appreciate it, man. Have a good